How prepared are you to have those difficult conversations to poke and prod and push in that direction or pull back in the direction of slowing down if necessary? Obviously, there's a handful of different personalities here. And I don't mean to ask that in a leading way, like as if there's difficult personalities. I just mean there are different personalities, right? So there is inherently some drama here, just period, right? Not in the negative sense, but just in the objective sense, right? So how are you prepared to have those conversations, or are you preparing to have those conversations? How are you looking at the way you'll approach that?
Yeah, 100%. I'm more than comfortable to approach someone about those kinds of things. And I think everybody understands we're all looking out for each other. And this role as the crew chief, I'm looking to manage this team of 12 runners. And checking in on them is kind of a requirement of the gig. So everybody understands that those kinds of questions are going to be coming. And we've all spent enough time now where, we're all pretty close and we do trust each other. And that's something I'm honestly not concerned about at all. And I can go back to my leadership roles in the Navy, like nuclear surface warfare officer, responsible for sailors on warships and in reactor department on an aircraft carrier. Like people management, you got to have these kinds of conversations. And thankfully, everybody on our team, we're all exceptional adults,
Is that much of it? That's not much of a change for you, right?
My name is Kerry Kite. I used to load bombs in the Air Force, and now I'm a writer, a filmmaker, and an entrepreneur. Through using the post 9/11 GI Bill to go to college, working hourly jobs to pay the bills, and freelancing my way into a career, I've studied what it takes to successfully transition from service to civilian, and that study has become a conversation. On this podcast, I speak to other veterans, successful artists and entrepreneurs about their transition, what they did well, where they failed, what they learned, and most importantly, how they applied their skills.
Episode 145 features Peter Consalvi, a Navy veteran who served as a nuclear surface warfare officer. He was slated to run in Team RWB's Old Glory Ultra Relay, but due to a last-minute injury, he has instead been serving as the crew chief for all 12 runners.
Welcome. This is Veteran Made.
Our merch store is live at store.veteranmadeproductions.com. Grab hats, t-shirts, and hoodies in both performance and tri-blend cotton fabrics. Use code VM-5OFF for 5% off your purchase. Veteran Made is also sponsored by GoPills, a military-grade nootropic that contributes to brain health over time. Use code VM15 at checkout for 15% off. I get my collagen protein from Bubs Naturals, where you can use code VETERANMADE, all one word, at checkout for 20% off your order. We're also proud to partner with True Made Foods, which makes condiments free from added sugar and sweetened with real foods. Use code VET at checkout for 15% off. We love socks in this house. I get my wife new socks every Christmas. More importantly, we love American-grown and made socks. Use code VETERANMADE15 at rucksocks.com for 15% off. And lastly, I end my day with Rack Out from Bravo Actual to maintain quality sleep, resulting in a well-rested body and mind. Use code VETERANMADE with a space between the words at checkout for 15% off your order. Enjoy the episode.
Go by Pete or Peter?
Either one's good. I see, it looks like we're wearing the same shirt. Very nice.
We are indeed. We are indeed. That happened with Gavin as well. He's like, "You want me to change?" And I was like, "Good." Yeah. This has like been my uniform for the series. Have you listened to the other episodes?
Yes. Yeah, I just listened to Zach Lavers this morning. So kind of interesting, right? He transitioned the other direction to become a runner, and I'm now going the opposite way. So yeah, man.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. I mean, let's I'll leave that part in. Let's roll right into it. Good afternoon from the great state of Ohio. For me, good morning or afternoon for you in Kansas City?
Afternoon. Yeah. 12 o'clock.
Okay. It's an hour behind.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Pete Consalvi, welcome to Veteran Made.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So as you were just saying, you're transitioning out of a runner role and into a crew chief role here for the Old Glory Ultra Relay. For those that are listening, when this releases, the team will have been on the road already. And so this will be releasing, I believe, the second week of the event. So let's definitely talk in present tense. And I want to hear about the injury and the transition process here over the course of the last couple of days as of this recording, which is basically a week out from the start of the race. But then we'll chat some stuff about the future, quote unquote, right, for when folks will be listening. But just tell us what happened, man.
Yeah, sure thing. So, a couple months ago, I picked up a hip injury, and at first, it seemed like no big deal. Don't worry about it. Maybe take a week or two off, rest, and then should be good to go. So after I picked it up, I took 10 days off. And then when I tried to, go on a run, see how things feel, I lasted about 3 minutes and yeah, just had this stabbing pain around my hip flexor area on the left side. And I think as endurance athletes, we're all accustomed to some level of injury. And when something is kind of no big deal, or something's new, something's different, doesn't quite feel right. So when that happened and I tried to get back on the horse and it still was bothering me, that's when I decided, whoa, I need to attack this full on. So started physical therapy. I've been doing that for 6 weeks now. Dry needling twice a week, was applying heat, maybe 3 or 4 times a day, was doing daily Epsom salts baths, icing it, stretching, everything I could. And I continued, under the impression what the physical therapists were saying and the doctors were saying was no big deal, just do this recovery and rest. So I got into this routine of I would take a week off, give it a shot, starts feeling better. And once I started giving it a shot, it would kind of flare up again. So then I would take another week off. Things started feeling better with that rest, the recovery. Tried to get back into it, flare up again. So yeah, it just got to the point where, and I was doing as much cross training as I could these last couple months, biking, elliptical, anything that didn't cause pain. And yeah, then of course we're like 2.5 weeks out, and I haven't been able to run comfortably or confidently, for about 7 weeks. And I decided, I need to figure out what the heck's going on. So we got x-rays, we got an MRI, and, there was a period of time where I was getting kind of concerned. Maybe there's something bigger going on. But the imaging all came back basically normal. And honestly, just a few days ago, the orthopedic specialist told me, you can get a cortisone shot and man, you're good to go. There's really no risk of injuring anything further. But I'm sitting here, thinking, well, I'm in pain. I'm laying in bed at night and this thing aches and hurts. And you have that gut feeling when something isn't right. So even though the doctor was telling me this isn't a big deal, don't really worry about it, I had to be real with myself and recognize that if there is risk to self and risk to the mission that we're trying to accomplish here, I can't just take that attitude of powering through this. This doesn't feel like the kind of thing that I could power through intelligently with. So I ultimately made the decision to back out as a runner, and yeah, I'm now moving into the crew chief role, which I'm excited about. Obviously bummed that I won't be running, but I do think there's a lot of value that I can bring to the table as the crew chief.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. One of the through lines of this series has been that this is not an ultra marathon, right? This isn't an ultra in the traditional sense, right? Because each individual runner isn't out there accomplishing a 50 or a 100 or a 250 or a 350 or whatever the crazier events you all have done. This is a team event. This is an ultra marathon relay, right? Like there's a flexibility within a rigid structure for the shifts and the teams that are going to be running and the individuals that will be running within those teams on those shifts. But there is an individual element to it as well, right? For each runner who's going to be performing on the road, because teams are made up of individuals. And so for you here as well, right? Like you're having to wrestle with the integration of the individual and the collective here, the individual and the team for yourself, right? Like you just said, this isn't something that I can maneuver through intelligently. And I think the thing that was left unsaid, right, which is like, I can't do this to the team, right? Like you could power through and shoot yourself up and knock out a 50, right? But that's not what this is. Like this is a relay with the team. So this closely removed from the decision being made, and your latest doctor's appointment, like how do you feel individually as a human, Pete, about this? And then we can jump into some tactical questions from there. But I don't want to move through it too quickly and not ask just how you're feeling about it.
Thank you for asking. I think this stuff is important to talk about. It's interesting, like sports psychology kind of stuff going on here, making a decision about with an injury and trying to push through or not. So I'm doing pretty good right now. When things started declining, coming a little bit closer, and with the doctor's appointments, it was rough. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe a week ago, I was having trouble sleeping because of my hip pain, but then also because I'm trying to figure out what the best decision to make is for myself, for the team, of course, and what it would look like if I had to make the choice to back out. So it was tough, but I have allowed myself the time and space to what I'll call grieve, to be sad that I'm not going to be running, right? I was picked to run with the flag across the United States. Like this is an unbelievable honor, and the fact that we are in the situation that we're now in now, it is a bummer. It's totally a bummer on a personal level for me, but there's been all kinds of plan changes or disappointments that I've experienced, and I know no matter what, things are going to be okay. And thank goodness it seems like this is not a serious long-term injury, but the support that I've gotten from the team, everybody reaching out, sending me messages, checking in on me, like all of that stuff is really amazing. And I feel like I'm in a good spot now, ready to take on this crew chief role, and I've already got quite a few schemes that I'm cooking up for everybody. So very excited.
Yeah, you're still on the team, right? Like I think it would be a real bummer if you had to just drop out completely and didn't get to go and didn't get to not just attend and tag along, but you're an integrated member of the team. You've observed Roel executing the crew chief role up to this point, and then now you get to swap in with him and execute a role on the team, which it's easy for me to say because I'm not running this thing. I'm just going to be there with Cameron as we're telling the story. But it is just from me to you. Like, just know that it is still an honor for you to be on the team and to be participating and to be an integral member of it. And to help the team, right? And so just I hope you take that with you. Communication has been another through line here as the teams have been preparing. Who did you lean on? What's been the communication like? You mentioned you've been getting positive messages, but what's the communication been like from you to the other team members about your status? And then what's the communication been like back from them in terms of the decision making weight that you were carrying?
Yeah, so we have a couple different group chats, and for the whole team group chat, I wasn't necessarily keeping everybody abreast of my condition, but certainly within the Team White group chat that we had, people were, Lindsay and Jason, everybody was asking, hey, like, how are things going? And because the nature of this situation has been honestly quite roller coaster, where things start feeling good, I think I'm getting ready to get back in action. And then I would try to get back into it. And then, the pain comes back for another 5 or 6 days. So then I'd have to kind of say, well, kind of had a setback here, so taking it easy again. And then of course with the team physician as well, talking to Doc Vol a lot, talking to my physical therapists that I've been seeing as well. And once I got to the point, basically last week, when I recognized, oh shoot, we are getting close, and this thing has still not improved, I had to reach out to JJ and Sully and say, hey guys, I've got an MRI on Monday, and my status as a runner is a little up in the air right now, because as much as I want to do this, like every fiber of my being has been doing everything I can to get ready, to prepare for it, right? I've got my whole plans for running and my recovery scheme and the sleep that I'm on the night team. So I've been doing what all the other runners have been doing. I've been mapping out how I'm going to tackle this. That's kind of how all the communication's been going.
All right, let's get into those schemes. Put yourself in the crew chief role that you're in here. How's that immediate transition been for you? It was cool actually when you said that earlier. Like you lit up, like there was a smile. Like it looked like it's something that you're really embracing. And you kind of smirked when you said you've got some schemes. So how quickly have you made that transition from a mindset standpoint? And let's get into some of those schemes.
Yeah. Like I said, I gave myself the time and space that I needed to grieve, to be sad. Like, I'll just be real. There were tears, of course. And I let that all out. I let myself feel it. But like I said, things are going to be all right. And I'm still helping to make this big, historic, insane adventure a reality. So once I accepted the situation, and you can look back, and of course there's all these what ifs, and if I just didn't try to get back on the horse as soon, and that kind of stuff. But the reality is, you can play the what ifs game, but you don't actually know if the other scenario would be better or worse. So that's why I kind of said I feel like you really need to trust your gut when it comes to these kinds of things. So once I accepted it, then totally switching gears into the planning, strategizing, and executing this event. It's a multifaceted thing. So we have these daily briefs that we're going to be doing with the teams. So when everybody first wakes up, gets ready to hit the road and start their shift, we're going to do briefs, and we're going to explain to everyone, okay, like this is what this day is looking like. So, I've already started getting the elevation profile maps for every inch of the route put together. The last basically 2 years of my life, I did this big bicycle trip and navigating and looking at maps every single day. So that is one area that I feel very strong in planning and routing. So that's kind of one thing I'm looking at bringing to the table.
I love it. From a executional standpoint, like it sounds like your mindset is there and is like right on. From an executional standpoint, Roel is now running. We know he's been training. He was obviously one of the first interviews in the series, and he talked about the idea of being a backup and potentially needing to slot in. So he's prepared physically to run. So it's a less complex change for him. Not easy, right? Because now he has to run the whole thing. But it's less complex for you. It might be a little bit more complex. So you're looking at maps. How have you now adjusted the way you're communicating to Jason, Lindsay, and remind me who? So Jason, Lindsay is Roel's on white now. Jordan. Yeah, so Jordan,
Yep.
Roel, Lindsay,
Mm-hmm.
and Jason. But then there's also now only one crew chief because we had two slot in, earlier in this process. So now you're a crew chief not just for white, but kind of floating around. So the complexities are a little bit more complex, right? For lack of a better way of saying it. So yeah, you're looking at topography for everybody. How are you going to float? Like, are you going to be on night shift because that's what you've been preparing for sleep? How are you looking at floating back and forth between the teams? How are you looking at working with JJ and Sully? Is they're mapping things out? Like, what's like the boots on the ground tactical approach that you're taking?
Yeah, so at this point, the intent is I'm still going to be on the night shift, so I will stay with Team White during their running. But
Mm-hmm.
if there's going to be opportunities where there's overlap, and if I'm able to pop into Team Red's van for RV for a little bit, check in with them, see what they need, if there's anything I can give them, if they've learned anything while they're on the road. And then, of course, same thing with Team Blue as well. And yeah, I'm technically assigned to the Team White RV, but I do have this fluid ability now where I can sort of bounce between each team, check in, and make decisions from there and support them the best way I can. And then, of course, while we're actually on the road, keeping in touch through the group chats, giving each other calls. And honestly, a big thing for me is going to be coordinating with the scouting team up ahead. So we're going to have one of the support vehicles is going to be ahead, making sure that the route is still clear. If there's any kind of, if there's an accident in the road or if we have to reroute, and I need to get that information as soon as I can. So that way I can, on the fly, change how we're going to do this, or maybe if there's a transition point where Team White is handing the flag to Team Red, but we're a little bit behind where we want it to be, or maybe we're a little bit ahead where we want it to be, then kind of ironing out those little nuances and communicating that to everybody so we're all on the same page.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's been interesting as we've been preparing to embed with the team, thinking about just that, right? Like rerouting, thinking about if a team does get ahead, right? Like how does that affect sleep and recovery for the next team who's taking the flag? How does that affect cadence is the right word, but like just the pace, I guess, is probably the right word. Like for the entire team, right? We're aiming for a 7:45 average right across the country to get there on the 18th. But Jordan could go crazy and run 25 miles in his shift or something like that, right? And so it's how much of this is like performance and tactical for you to help manage those aspects that you were just describing, and then because you've had the mental preparation for actually running in this, how much of it is that first scenario and then blended with the scenario of like thinking about the runners and how they're feeling and how they're performing, and you having a vantage point of saying like, hey, actually don't do that, like do it this way? How much coaching is going to be happening?
So there's a few things to that question. The first thing I'll say is, yeah, no, all good. So everybody on this team is a complete rock star. Like everybody knows their bodies, knows what they're capable of, has put in the time and the training and thought these things through. Everybody has their own recovery routine, they've got their own sleep routine. And I don't necessarily want to get my hands into somebody's like very specific routine that works for them. But like you said, if someone is really feeling good and they're maybe doing a 6:30 pace, something like that. And we have a few folks on the team who are more than capable of that. My bigger concern is, so if someone's maintaining that, 7 or 6:45 pace and they've been doing that for a few days, but then they have a bad night of sleep. I would expect them, I would like them on their first shift that next day, take it easy, maybe do that 7:45 or 8 minute or honestly, if somebody has to dip into an 8:30 pace for a 30-minute segment of their run, just to make sure that they're feeling okay because they didn't recover as well because they got, not so great sleep last night. Those are the decisions that we're trusting the runners to make. And so you do 30 minutes at an 8:30 pace. That's going to add what, 4 minutes to our end time, so it's going to be each day, everybody's got to feel their bodies and make those kinds of decisions. Because what we don't want is for anyone to burn themselves out and, 6 days in, 10 days in, because they've made that they've put themselves in that situation,
How prepared are you to have those difficult conversations to poke and prod and push in that direction or pull back in the direction of slowing down if necessary? Obviously, there's a handful of different personalities here. And I don't mean to ask that in a leading way, like as if there's difficult personalities. I just mean there are different personalities, right? Like everybody has a different profile. You all have an understanding of what your own personality profile is and everybody else's as you went through that test. So there is inherently some drama here, just period, right? Not in the negative sense, but just in the objective sense, right? So how are you prepared to have those conversations, or are you preparing to have those conversations? How are you looking at the way you'll approach that?
Yeah, 100%. I'm more than comfortable to approach someone about those kinds of things. And I think everybody understands we're all looking out for each other. And this role as the crew chief, I'm looking to manage this team of 12 runners, and checking in on them is kind of a requirement of the gig. So everybody understands that those kinds of questions are going to be coming, and we've all spent enough time now where, we're all pretty close, and we do trust each other. And that's something I'm honestly not concerned about at all. And I can go back to my leadership roles in the Navy, like I was a nuclear surface warfare officer responsible for sailors on warships and in reactor department on an aircraft carrier. Like, people management, you got to have these kinds of conversations. And thankfully, everybody on our team we're all exceptional adults,
Yeah, that's exactly right. Before we wrap up and get to the meaning of this event and participating in it, and now participating in a way that you weren't expecting to even yesterday, what has, going through the emotional roller coaster that you've been through over the last 6 weeks and then acutely over the last week, what has surprised you about your own response, mentally, emotionally, to your new circumstances, if anything?
Wow, big question. Okay. What surprised me? I would say that up until about a week ago, there was no doubt in my mind that I would be running. And it didn't even occur to me the possibility that I would not be running, I felt like I was doing everything I could. I was putting myself in the best possible situation to recover from something that was weird and new, but I had gotten this reassurance is not too big of an issue. Once I had to kind of look at myself in the mirror and say, whoa, there's some uncertainty here now. That was tough. And I would say that I wasn't necessarily holding on to it until the very last moment, but I just kept doing everything I could to fulfill the role that I was selected for and wanted to do. So once I had to make that choice and give it up, it's tough, but like I said, this kind of stuff is a part of life. Like, plans change, injuries happen to everybody, and I feel very grateful that I have gone through tough times before, big events that I had been training. I was going to climb Everest a few years back and had everything ready to rock for that. You know, trained for that for months and months, and then 2 weeks before the expedition, COVID broke out. And all of a sudden, I'm not able to go on this big expedition. And yeah, there's all kinds of times during my bicycle trip as well where plans totally changed. There's, global conflict going on, Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Gaza, Hamas, Palestine, and all those kinds of things completely rerouted this huge bicycle adventure that I had going on. Yeah, so temporarily bummer, disappointment, but I know no matter what, it's going to be all right. And I'm just very grateful that I'm still able to be on the team, fulfill this new role, and commit all my energy to it to make it the best possible.
Gavin talked about this last week. He brought a framework into it that I hadn't really thought about, because as I've talked to all the runners, we've talked about all the acute preparation that's gone on over the last 9 months, 12 months, for Team RWB, selecting you guys and pulling it together, and then roughly 9 months for you guys kind of training for this. And what I hadn't considered is what Gavin said last week, and something that you're exemplifying right now, which is there's been a lifetime of preparation for this. All of the circumstances that you've all experienced over the course of your lives and career have placed you here to give you the opportunity to be prepared to execute this historic event from whatever role and vantage point you all are going to be doing it. And for you, it's not running anymore. For now, it's crew chiefing. And so everything you just listed out, and I'm sure there's dozens more over the course of your life, have prepared you to respond the way that you're responding.
Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree. We go out and we do things, and we have ups and downs in life, and all of those pluses and minuses add up to set us up the best way possible for whatever's coming next, Yeah.
So to end here, what does it mean to you to participate in this event? What does it mean to you to help the flag get from San Diego to the National Mall in Washington, D.C. at the future site of the Global War on Terror Memorial?
I mean, it's huge. Certainly way bigger than myself. And going through this recent roller coaster has just amplified that even more for me. That, it's not worth me making a decision that maybe on a personal level, I get to be the guy with the flag and, do this thing that I've been training for and was selected for. It's not worth jeopardizing this enormous event. I'm more than happy to make the kind of more difficult decision on a personal level and ensure that we're still able to make this happen in, the best way possible.
I love it. Pete, before I get to the open-ended question that ends each episode, where can folks find you? You guys are going to be doing IG Lives. We'll obviously put the link in for Team RWB and where folks can track the flag, but where can folks follow along with you on social and see what you're up to this week during the tail end of this race, as well as moving forward?
Yeah, I'm not super big into social media, but I do have Instagram, so you can find me there. And then, of course, the Team Red, White, and Blue, you go on the Old Glory Ultra Relay website, and you'll see some info on there as well.
Pedaling with Pete, right? Is that what it is?
That is correct, yes.
Cool. Yeah, we'll link it out. We'll collaborate with you on the post as we drop these. I'll be with you. I'll be jumping around those RVs with you, and Cameron, our director of photography, as will be embedded And so we'll be out there together. I'm very excited to get out on the road with all of you, and excited to collaborate with you in this new role. Pete, to end each episode of the podcast, I ask an open-ended question. What's on your heart and your mind for our community right now? It could be a piece of advice, something you want to get off your chest, or something you want to reiterate that we've talked about today. But Pete, what's on your heart? What's on your mind?
Yeah, I would just say, I've said it a couple times now, trust your gut. There's all kinds of tough decisions we got to make in life, and make the one that feels like the right decision for you, and that's what I got.
So I love that. I tell my daughter, I say, follow your heart, trust your gut. Whatever mistakes you make doing those two things are mistakes that we can handle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love it. Pete, I deeply appreciate you. I appreciate your time. Appreciate your vulnerability. Obviously, we've been texting a bit the last couple of days. I know this is difficult, but it sounds like you're in a great place. I'm excited to get out on the road with you and the rest of the team. And just thanks, man. It would have been very easy for you to say no to this series and this interview, and but instead you came on and you were vulnerable and authentic and open, and that means a lot. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, Carrie. Thank you for having me, and I hope anybody who hears this, like I said, everybody goes through times like this, so I hope it helps other folks get through their own tough times. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Cheers, brother. We'll chat soon.
Thanks, Carrie. Bye.